Since the beginning of time, the Earth has been the scene of constant natural spectacles. First, the violent formation of the Earth's crust along with the atmosphere that surrounds it, then later the gradual appearance of the different animal and plant species and their permanent struggle to survive the changes in the climate. Today are the victors in this genetic combat for survival in which many others disappeared forever. But around 3 million years ago, a phenomenon took place which radically altered the climate and had a decisive effect on the ecosystems in which humans were then evolving. The northern hemisphere was subjected to great variations in temperature, while in Africa the forests receded, giving way to the savannas and the prairies of grasses. Our Homo ancestors began to eat more meat than any other primate. This change in diet enabled them to reduce the length of the digestive tract and increase the size of the brain. Initially as scavengers, those first humans shared the planet with enormous, efficient beasts which they observed in fear. Later, they too became hunters, and fear turned to admiration. Hunting man pursued the great herds of herbivores, gradually increasing his knowledge of his natural surroundings. Very soon, the human mind began to associate the different species with their supposed powers, and so the totemic animals were born. The human brain's capacity for abstraction meant we went one step further, seeing in animals the incarnation of spirits and gods. The human intellect sought to manipulate this magic world, and in the depths of ritual caves, man drew the animals whose spirits could bestow their powers on him. The world would never be the same. A subjective reality had been born inside the head of the last primate. The bison would no longer be just an animal. From now on, man's companions in biological evolution also became part of his rights. The strange relationship between man and nature became a struggle for domination, a struggle which still continues today. In a strip which goes from India to Australia and including all of Indonesia, lives the largest reptile in the world. It is the marine crocodile, an animal which the peoples of the southern hemisphere could not help but notice. Weighing over a ton and more than 7 meters in length, it is responsible for more attacks on people than any other animal in its area of distribution. It can live in rivers, estuaries or in the open sea, and its diet includes literally anything that moves. An animal like this was already here when over 40,000 years ago, human beings reached northern Australia. Immediately, the largest predator in the area became a divinity for the human colonists, who observed in fascination the powers of this great reptile. The power of its jaws, its size, its ability to appear or disappear without being seen, and its terrifying appearance all led to the marine crocodile being elevated from the status of a hunter to that of the creator of all things. In the Philippines, in Borneo, in Timor, and New Guinea, there was no human culture living in close contact with water that did not consider the marine crocodile to be a god. Today, at the start of the 3rd millennium, it retains its status in the basin of the River Sepik in New Guinea. The Garmut drum calls all the inhabitants of the village because in the Tambaran, or House of the Spirits, the crocodile men's ceremony is about to begin. The marks on the skin identify those who have already been possessed. Tonight, the great crocodile will return to the village in search of new warriors. This is the so-called crocodile nest. In it, the water drums will sound, one male, the other female, to call to the spirit of the king of the crocodiles. The ceremony begins. These people believe that the crocodile created the earth from the water, and in it rent an enormous fissure with which it copulated. From this union were born the plants, the animals, and man. When it opened its enormous mouth, the lower jaw fell to earth and the upper jaw formed the sky. Outside the nest, everyone is dancing, unable to see what is happening inside. The atmosphere becomes increasingly tense, and finally the warrior is led to the tambaran where his blood will be let. As dusk approaches, the frenzy increases, while the songs and dances grow more intense. Very soon, the spirit of the great crocodile will answer the call of his people. The uninitiated believe that the crocodile creator will devour the young man and regurgitate him converted into a man. For this reason, his skin will forever bear the marks of the enormous teeth of the great totem. In reality, he is cut with razors, a painful ordeal leaving scarifications resembling scales. Whatever the explanation, the fact is the crocodile god which rules the lives of these people now has a new disciple, and they all feel secure beneath the protection of the greatest power on the planet.